The JAMB English word of the day is appear by proxy, which is an idiom. Now, what's the opposite of this? That's what the question is asking us. So the sentence says, the judge did not grant the request that the witness should appear by proxy. So what's the meaning of appear by proxy? Appear by proxy is for someone to be represented by someone else. All right. So we need to find the opposite of that. Now, A says not appear at all. No, that's not the opposite of being represented. B says be present in person. This is the opposite. This is the opposite. Okay, because appear by proxy means you are represented by someone, and the opposite will be that you are there in person. Okay, C says be represented by counsel. That's the direct meaning of appear by proxy. D says answer questions by phone. No, not really. Okay, so now the right answer here is the correct one is B. The German English word of the day is invidious. Okay, so we have to choose the option opposite in meaning to the word. Now, the sentence says the officer was given an invidious task. What does the word invidious means? It means unpleasant, hateful, okay, something slanderous, just an unpleasant thing. All right, so the opposite of that would be something pleasant. So our right answer here will be B. But look at this. Cruel almost means the same as this. Vivid means clear, okay, which can be the opposite of unpleasant. D says difficult, which almost is the same meaning as the word invidious. Okay, so the right option here, which is opposite to the word invidious, which is unpleasant, hateful, is what? Pleasant. Okay, is Workaday. Okay, so it says we should find the option opposite in meaning to this word. Now, the sentence says the views of the plateau are in stark contrast to the Workaday cottages below. Now, what's the meaning of Workaday? Workaday means something that's ordinary, dull, commonplace. Okay, so that's the meaning, ordinary. All right, so now what would be the opposite? You can see here, this is the direct meaning, ordinary and uninteresting. All right, so it will be opposite of ordinary and uninteresting. All right, so definitely it should be what's beautiful and interesting. That should be the opposite of this. So our right option would be option B. Now look at A. A says comfortable and fascinating. Not that. D says ugly and unfascinating. That is the direct meaning of also Workaday. All right, so not ugly. All right, opinionated. Now it says we should what? Choose the opposite in meaning to the word. All right, so Manu is hard to convince because he's an opinionated person. Now A says an objective, B says an imperative, C says subjective, D says a discursive. So who is an opinionated person? Is someone who has preconceived ideas about something. It's not based on any fact. All right. So now D, let us go from the bottom up. So D says a discursive. A discursive person is someone who digress, goes from left to right, not really on the point. A subjective person is someone who takes decisions emotionally or points emotionally. An imperative person is like all vital, all crucial, all important. Now look at an objective person. An objective person is an unbiased person that takes decision based on facts given. So the opposite to the word opinionated is objective. The English word of the day is denouement. Okay, now the question says we should choose the option opposite in the meaning of to the word. Okay, so look at this. It says the dramatist provided a satisfactory denouement to the play. Now, what's the meaning of the word denouement? Okay, so it means the final outcome of the play. Okay, it can be the final outcome of maybe a complex sequence of events, but basically it's just the final outcome of something. All right, so that's the meaning of the word denouement. So what would be the opposite? All right, so the opposite would be the beginning. That's all, an intro. So yes, I know we've already gotten the answer here. C is definitely going to be introduction, okay, as the answer. But look at this. This says criticism. It's not opposite of this. Climax is not. Climax is like the zenith, the peak. Audition, no, it's not the opposite. So the right answer here is introduction. The German English word of the day is scorn. All right. this word is quite, 5-letter words, but some students do get it mixed up. All right, so what's the meaning of scorn? The question says to find the opposite in meaning. All right, please be careful. Opposite in meaning. All right, don't just go quickly to the option to pick the nearest in meaning, the meaning of the word. All right, so the sentence says the principal was filled with scorn when we gave our reasons for coming late. Now, at least the sentence has given you an idea what scorn could mean. Okay, scorn can be anger, contempt. Okay, that's the meaning of scorn. When you are angry, you're contempt. All right, now the opposite of that of the word now will be what? Sympathy, not pity. All right, pity is totally different. The opposite will be, instead of anger, it will be sympathy. All right, so our right option here is option A. JAMB English word of the day is analogous. Okay, now the question says, choose the option opposite in meaning. Okay, so the sentence says the teacher recounted two events that were analogous with each other. So what's the meaning of the word analogous? The direct meaning. Okay, so the meaning means similar, comparable. Okay, now so the opposite of something being similar, all right, will be something different. All right, not, you can't compare. Now look at A. A says advantageous. No, advantageous means maybe something more important, something that is more important and all that. That's not the opposite of similar. Now B says different from. Yes, this is the opposite of similar, different from. C says similar with. This is the direct meaning. Okay, direct nearest meaning. D says distant from. Okay, no, that's not the opposite of what's similar. So the right answer here is B. Today's word of the day is acquiescing. Okay, so now look at the question. It says we are looking for the opposite in meaning. That's what we're looking for of the word. So the sentence says the proprietor accused Uche of silently acquiescing to the student's demand. So what's the meaning of this word? Okay, acquiescing means to agree, all right, to agree to assent to, okay, maybe a decision and all that. So that's the meaning, that's the direct meaning of this word. So now what's the opposite? It means not to agree. Okay, now look at A. A says compromising on. Compromising on is always is also like agreement, coming to terms with. So this is not, it's not the opposite of this. B says adjusting. No. C says resisting. This is the right answer. Let's see, the D says submitting to. No. Okay, so resisting is the opposite of what? Agreeing. Now, our JAMB English word of the day is sumptuous. Okay, so it says here that we should find the opposite in meaning. All right, so the sentence says some people consider the leather upholstery and thick rugs a bit sumptuous. Okay, so what's the meaning of sumptuous? Sumptuous, we always refer it to a meal. All right, but now you can see, you can refer it to things. All right, so the meaning of sumptuous is it's expensive, something very, lavish, luxurious. That's the meaning of sumptuous. Okay, so yes, a meal can be expensive, so that's when it's sumptuous. It's not when it's really delicious. Okay, so now the opposite to that is A says desirable, is always this is the same meaning to this. B say expensive, it's the same meaning to this. C says lavish, it's the same meaning to this. Now look at D. D says simple. This is the right answer. It's opposite to the word sumptuous. Okay, so our answer here is option. Now, our German English word of the day is henchmen. Now, the question says we should choose the option opposite in meaning, okay, to the word or phrase in Italy's. Okay, so the sentence says the president can afford to dispense with some of his henchmen. What is the meaning of henchmen? Henchmen are like devoted followers, supporters of someone. So these are the supporters of the president, okay, and followers of the president. So we need the opposite meaning of a follower, a supporter. It will mean someone who doesn't support, who is against. Okay, now let's go to the option. A says advisors. Advisors can be a henchman. Okay, B says bodyguards. There can also be henchmen. Okay, which is the same meaning, but we know we're looking for the opposite. C says sycophants. Now sycophants, they are neither supporters or unsupporters. Okay, they are just there to for advantage, to gain something from someone. Now the detractors, these are the people, they are attackers. So the answer here, opposite in meaning to henchmen. The word of the day is espoused. Okay, now it says from the option letter A to D, choose the option that is nearest in meaning to the underlined word. The Senate espoused the bill. So, what does espoused mean? Okay, espoused means to support, to adapt. Okay, so here it says, yes, the first answer is supported, but let's look at other options. Okay, outlined, no, condemned, no, rejected, no. So, the meaning of espoused is support. Okay, so the Senate supported the bill. All right, so espouse it's for you to become involved with. Okay, support a bill, an activity, or an opinion. All right, that's the meaning of espoused. Okay, don't think it's something related to relationship. No, espoused is it means the English meaning means supported. Thank you. Today's jam English word of the day is obnoxious. Okay, now look at the question. It says, from the options lettered A to D, choose the option that is nearest in meaning to the underlying word. The sentence says, his views are always obnoxious. Okay, now A says unscrupulous. Okay, I know most of us, since this is a big word, this is another big word. We will just go and tick this. No, 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 no. Okay, that's not what unscrupulous means. Unscrupulous doesn't mean obnoxious, okay? Unscrupulous is someone without moral standards, who isn't principled, who isn't honest or fair, okay? Obnoxious means someone who is so unpleasant, who is offensive. The right answer here, nearest in meaning to obnoxious, is what? Offensive. Okay, C says popular, no. D says good, no. Okay, so the right answer here is offensive. Our jam English word of the day is prodigal. Okay, I know most people would have a sense of the word prodigal. Okay, but what is the meaning? Okay, now the question says, we should find the nearest in meaning, and this is sentence. The prodigal son has returned. What's the meaning of prodigal? The English real meaning. Now, what is the A says errant? Errant just means, you're straying away from maybe some standards, societal standards. Phlegmatic means someone who is unemotional. Okay. Now, extravagant, that's the meaning of prodigal. Someone who spends recklessly, wastefully. Okay. So the right meaning of prodigal is extravagant, not prestigious. Okay. Prodigal doesn't mean prestigious. So the right meaning of prodigal is extravagant. That's the nearest in our word of the day is aversion. Okay, so what is the meaning? And let's see the question. It says from the option lettered A to D, choose the option that is nearest in meaning. So nearest in meaning to the underlying word. Now, this is a sentence. I have an aversion for war movies. So what does aversion means? Okay, aversion means you have dislike, a very strong dislike for something. Okay, and A says bitterness, no, not bitterness. It's not about bitterness. It says preference, no. Okay. C says addiction, no. The best option here is what dislike. Okay. So you have a very strong dislike. That's aversion. That's what it means for war movies. Aversion is unwillingness to do something. So that's the meaning of the word aversion. Okay. Thank you. Okay, today's word of the day is insolvent. Okay, and this jam question says from the options letter A to D, choose the option that is nearest in meaning. Okay, so this is quite straightforward to the underlined word. Now, the sentence says, now that the company is insolvent, it will shut down. You can always get a clue of the meaning of the word from the way your sentence is framed. Okay, so what does insolvent means? Insolvent means you not being able to pay your debts. Okay, let's say you owe some money, you don't have enough to pay. So this company will shut down because it doesn't have enough money to pay. Now look at the options. A says unstable. No, that's not what insolvent means. B says bankrupt. Yes, this is what it means. But let us look at other options. Affluent. What does affluent mean? It means being wealthy, which is wrong. Okay, insolvent means you don't have money. All right, overworked. No. So our right option here is option B, bankrupt. When a company is insolvent, it is what bankrupt. All right. Okay, today's charm English word of the day is snowballed. Okay, now it says From the option lettered A to D, choose the option that is most nearly opposite in meaning. All right. So to the underlying word. Now, this is sentence. The effect of rising prices has snowballed considerably. All right. So what does the meaning of snowball means? Okay. It means to grow. As I said, the trick to most nearly opposite in meaning JAMB questions, you always see the direct meaning here, but it's the opposite meaning. So don't be so fast to pick the direct meaning. You ask to find the opposite of the direct meaning of the word. So snowball means to grow quickly, rise. Okay. Now the opposite would be to decrease. So the effect of rising prices has decreased considerably. So that's the answer. Okay, our word of the day is haddock, an idiom. Okay, now look at the question. It says from the options lettered A to D, choose the option that is most nearly opposite in meaning to the underlying word. Okay, so this is a typical JAM question. Okay, JAM English question. It says the sentence says the housewife was hard up before the end of each month. So what's the meaning of hard up? Before we can get the opposite in meaning. All right, so hard up means when you have very little money. That's the meaning of this idiom. Okay, when you have very little money. So it can be penniless, that's the meaning. All right. So the opposite now, which we're looking for, which is we should be the answer is it can't be upset, it can't be borrowing, it should be in no need. So that's the opposite of being hard up. Hard up means when you don't have money, okay, at the end of each month, then in no need is means you have money. Okay, so our answer is what's option A, in no need. Our word of the day is austere. Okay. Look at the question. It says from the options lettered A to D, choose the option that is most nearly opposite in meaning to the underlying word. Okay, most nearly opposite in meaning. Now look at this. Let's see the sentence. Last Easter was an austere period. Now, what's the meaning of austere? Okay, as I said, there's always clue. When it comes to nearly opposite in meaning, there's always a clue. Okay, austere means severe. Okay, now austere for a person means someone who is very strict in attitude, strict in manner and things like that. Okay, so it's something when there's an absence of warmth or feeling. You get my point. So that's the meaning. Now, what would be the answer now? That's the opposite, nearly opposite in meaning. Now, so it can be severe, it can be sour, it can be harsh. So the nearly opposite in meaning is what? Prosperous. All right. So last Easter was a prosperous. Our word of the day is taciturn. Okay. Now I know here we have outspoken on the line, but I want you to know the meaning of taciturn. Okay. So now look at the question. It says from the option lettered A to D, choose the option that is most nearly opposite in meaning to the underlying word. Now, most nearly opposite in meaning. Now look at the sentence. Femi is outspoken while his wife is. I know most of us immediately will just go to silent. No, outspoken, what is the meaning of outspoken? Someone who speaks a lot, talks a lot, um very communicative. Okay, now let's look at other options. Sober, it can be sober. Humorous also means the same thing. We're looking for the opposite. Why his wife is the opposite of outspoken. You might pick silent, but no, silent is someone that doesn't talk at all. But what's the meaning of taciturn? Taciturn is someone that doesn't talk much. Okay, doesn't say very much. Okay, not very communicative. So the right answer to this is A. Today's word of the day is parsimonious. Okay, and look at this question. It says in the question below, choose the most appropriate option opposite in meaning to the word on the line. My father is parsimonious. Now, what's the meaning of the word? In JAM exam, there's always a clue, especially when you have opposite in meaning. Okay, it would show you clues to the meaning of the word parsimonious. All right, so don't quickly just go there and take the answer. It says opposite. Okay, so a clue to the meaning of the word parsimonious is ungenerous, frugal, someone who is unwilling to spend money or use resources. Okay, that doesn't want to spend. All right, so the opposite of that will be what? Out of this option will be what? Generous. Do you see that? So that will be the opposite. So don't just go quickly and pick ungenerous. All right, it's the opposite in meaning. Our word for today is stepped off the wrong foot. Okay, and this is our question. It says, choose the most appropriate option nearest in meaning to the underlying word. Now, this the sentence. It says, our New Vice Chancellor has stepped off the wrong foot. Now let's look at the option. A says start off badly. B says stepped on the wrong toes. C says made a costly mistake. D says injured his foot while entering the office. No, this is wrong. This is quite direct, which is not the answer. C says made a costly mistake. This is not the answer. Stepped on the wrong toes. This is not the answer. The right answer here is started off badly. Okay, stepped off the wrong foot means started off badly. Okay, it's when you have an unfortunate or unpleasant start. Okay, so the right option here is option A, started off badly. Thank you. Today's JAMB English word of the day is open house, which is an idiom. Okay, now let's go through the question. It says, choose the most appropriate option nearest in meaning to the underlying word. After my husband's popular election, we had to keep open house throughout the weekend. Okay, so what does keep open house mean? Now, let's go through the option. A says keep all doors open. No, I know what would just come into people's mind is this, but it's wrong. B says entertain every caller. C says relax security. D says give a party. So this two can also come in mind, but it is wrong. Okay, the right option here is entertain every caller. All right. So to keep an open house or an open house, okay, is a situation in which people welcome visitors at any time. So our right option is option B, entertain every caller. Our word of the day is put up with. Okay, look at this question. It says choose the most appropriate option nearest in meaning to the underlying word. We could not put up with his terrible disposition. Okay, so what is the meaning of put up with? This is an idiom. Okay, and now let's go to the options. A says deal with, not really. Okay, not, it is not the most appropriate option to use here. So I know most people would just go deal with, and deal with is no, it's like a slang and all that. No, the most appropriate what? Look at the question. The most appropriate option nearest in meaning to the underlying word. Now, B says exterminate. No, that's not the meaning of the idiom. C says control. No. Now, the right option here is tolerate. Okay. When you can't put up with something, you can't tolerate it. You can't cope with it. So you can't what? The right answer. Now, our word for today is taken aback, okay, which is an idiom. And the question says here, choose the most appropriate option nearest in meaning to the underlying word. Now, it says here, the sentence says, she was taken aback by his attitude. Now, this is the underlying one, taken aback. All right, what's the meaning of taken aback? All right, I know most people will just go to maybe drag back or overwhelm. Idioms are quite tricky to know the meaning, okay? So please do be conversant with idioms, especially for your exam, okay, your JAM exam, all right? So the right answer here, C says delayed, no. The meaning of taken aback is surprise. So she was surprised by his attitude, okay? So please don't forget to get the DTW JAM CBT app, and also you can join our intensive online classes to prepare you for your JAM exam. That's JAM 2024. Our English word of today is commensurate. Now, let's read this question. It says, choose the most appropriate option nearest in meaning. Okay, so this is nearest in meaning to the underlying word. Now, look at the sentence. Many would argue that the achievement is commensurate with the effort. Now, what's the meaning of commensurate? Okay, commensurate means corresponding. Okay, that's something corresponds in size or degree. Okay, is in proportional, is equivalent. Okay, so that's the meaning of the word commensurate. Now let's go to the option. Since it says nearest in meaning, so we're looking for something corresponding in proportional. Now A says funnily compared with. No, it is not compared. B says unexpected in the light of. No. This C says the wrong excuse for. No. D says proportional to. This is the right answer. Today's JAM English word of the day, okay, is recession. All right, now let's read the question. In the question below, choose the most appropriate option opposite in meaning to the words underlined. Now look at the sentence. Nigeria is gradually experiencing economic recession. Opposite in meaning. What's the meaning of recession? It's an economic decline in trade activities. That's when your imports are more than your exports. Okay, countries will experience recession. So now it says opposite in meaning. All right. So the opposite of recession, if there's a decline, there should be like an upturn of activities, economic activities. So we're looking for something positive. Now it says here discovery, no. It says here birth, no. It says here recovery. This is the best option. This says destruction, no. Okay, because it says opposite in meaning. So our answer. Now, our JAM English word of the day says fulminate. Okay, now the question says we should choose the most appropriate option opposite in meaning to the word on the line. So the sentence says the elderly often fulminate against the apparent indolence of the young generation. Now, what does the word fulminate mean? Why I love this opposite in meaning question in JAM is you always see the answer in your option. Okay, fulminate means to protest bitterly about, to make a verbal attack, complain seriously about. That is the direct meaning of the word. But if you're under you're tense and pressure and exam conditions, you quickly just pick either B or C. But no, it says opposite. You've forgotten it says opposite. So just relax and read your question. So opposite means A, to commend warmly. Our word of the day is exacerbating. Okay, so the question says we should choose the most appropriate option opposite in meaning to the word or words on the line. Now, the sentence says such measures end up exacerbating the pain. So, what's the meaning of the word exacerbating? Exacerbating means to make something that is bad worse. Okay, so exacerbating the pain means increasing the pain. Okay, aggravating the pain. So how do we get the opposite to this word? Okay, the most appropriate here. Now, C said eliminating. No, no, it can't be eliminating. Okay, because exacerbating means making something that is bad worse. So we need to reduce the pain. So to reduce the pain, the best option here is alleviating. Okay, that's the meaning of the word alleviating, to reduce something. Okay, so the right option here is option B. Okay, today's JAM English word of the day is anorexic. All right, and the question says we should choose the option that is most nearly opposite in meaning. Please always read your question. Opposite in meaning, not nearly in meaning. Please note that. Okay, so it says after the wedding, the man became anorexic. What's the meaning of anorexic? It is gotten from the word anorexia. Now, what is anorexia? It's an eating disorder. All right, when someone gets so scared to be fat and suddenly starts starving themselves, is a disorder. Okay, so if you are anorexic, it means you are skinny, you don't eat, you are starving yourself. So the opposite to this would be someone who is fat, who is obese. So from our options here, the answer is obese, not skinny, not excited, not melancholic. Okay, so the answer is obese. Okay, thank you. Do get the DTW JAM CBT app and also join our intensive JAM classes. JAM English word of the day. So the word of the day is obfuscating. Okay, look at this JAM question. It says, in the question below, choose the most appropriate option opposite in meaning to the underlined, to the word underlined. Now look at the sentence. The lecturer was merely obfuscating the issues with his endless examples. All right, I know if you don't relax, you will quickly because what JAM does to confuse you is put the meaning of the word in the option. So most people will just go quickly and put, oh, obfuscating, it should mean complicating or confusing. Okay, so some will pick confusing, some will pick complicating. But remember, it says opposite in meaning. Okay, so you have to find the opposite. So the meaning of obfuscating is complicating, making something hard to understand, difficult and confusing. So the opposite to that is clarifying. So the right answer is clarifying.